Good afternoon. We are the Act 279 Working Group. Today is Monday, October 23rd, 2023 at 2 p.m. here in conference room 329. The purpose of this informational briefing is to receive an update from the Department of Hawaiian Homelands on their progress of how they're spending the funds allocated to them in Act 279. We have with us, I'm Chair Troy Hashimoto, we have with us Member Daniel Holt, and on Zoom we have Member David Tarnas and Rep. Mahina Poi Poi. Thank you for joining us. So I think how we're going to do this today is there's two parts that we're going to be working on today. The first part, we are going to get an update on some of the projects that we got a briefing on the last time. I think we saw the PowerPoint and we saw what the universe is, and so I think what we just want to do is get a quick update on any movement on those projects. So we do have a project matrix here, maybe just some of the highlights, and then after that we'll go into some of the legislation that the Department of Hawaiian Homelands is looking to get to help them better implement Act 279. I guess just for the public's information, this working group needs to issue a report by the start of session, so we actually are beginning to put some of the first pieces into that report, and so I think it's just some of the projects obviously that we've gone through over these last couple of months. I think that's been the bulk of the discussions that we've been having. I think the next phase is going to be what are the legislative proposals, and so we can start drafting, or we can support Department of Hawaiian Homelands in their legislative package that may be coming from the governor. And so I think that's going to be our next add to the report, and then we'll kind of go from there. So with that, I would like to recognize the presence of Rep. Ward. Thank you for joining us, Rep. Ward. And I do want to recognize the presence of the Majority Leader, Rep. Nakamura. Come on up, Majority Leader. With that, I will turn it over to the Chair of Department of Hawaiian Homelands, Mr. Watson. Thank you for being here with us. Did you want to introduce your staff as well?
Sure. Good afternoon, Chairman Hashimoto. My name is Kali Watson, Chairman of the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. Over here on my left is Ori, and then we have Stuart on my right. What I thought might be helpful is, rather than me going through all the details, I'll just have, to start off, have Stuart kind of highlight the changes from the last time and give you an update on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Aloha, Chair and members. Pleasure to be here again before you. So we've updated the Act 279 implementation matrix, and let me start from the top and go down to where we have progress initiated. So the first one is Lanai residence lots offsite infrastructure. Last month we had requested from the governor and BNF to release $175 million in general funds. And so on October 19th, Governor did release $65 million for the second quarter of fiscal 24 and $110 million Act 279 funds in the third quarter. So that will allow us to encumber the $2 million shown, and this is for a contract with Bars Kubota to start the planning and design work for off-site infrastructure. Going further down to Maui Leali'i 1B subdivision, this past week, the Hawaiian Oaks Commission approved the finding of no significant impact for Leali'i 1B subdivision. The final EA is being published next month, early part of next month. And so what we're doing here is this will springboard us into the designs. What we are planning to do is issue a request for qualifications to wrap around any off-site water requirements, Honoa Pi'ilani highway improvements, as well as the Leali'i 1B subdivision lot development itself, totaling 181 single-family lots. The first increment will be 86 single-family lots, and I do want to mention that the Hawaiian Oaks Commission took note of input from the beneficiaries that there was a preference for single-family lots over 167 multifamily units. So the lot count was reduced from 250 units to 181 units. Let's see. So the first, the initial focus will be on the construction of the 86 single-family lots in Leali'i 1B Increment 1. Okay. Moving down to Oahu, Kaupea Phase 2 Development Agreement. Last month, the contract was awarded to Mark Development. Let me correct that by saying that Mark Development was selected as a developer for the 60 units in Kaupea Phase 2. So we're currently in negotiations. The $11.9 million shown there is part of the $175 million release from the governor this past October 19th. Okay. On the second page, let's see. We are also in the process of encumbering Oahu under the statewide land and project acquisitions, Ewa Villages, Pilina Homes. The development agreement is approximately $20 million, and this will also be encumbered with the release of the $175 million. From the governor. We are also in the process of negotiating the development agreement with Mark Development for Oahu, Wailua. This is the mill camp development, and we expect that the negotiations will come in at around $19 million. This is also part of the governor's release of $175 million. And then we also requested approximately $5 million for project contingency amounts for projects that we have previously encumbered. One of note is the Pu'unani off-site water tank on Maui. We previously encumbered $5.5 million, but the current estimate is closer to $6.5 million. So this is where one of our the contingency, how the contingency fund will be utilized. So that is basically the highlights of our progress in the last month.
Great. Members, any questions?
Yep.
Report.
Chair.
Go ahead.
Chair. When you mentioned the macro numbers, I'm thinking, well, how much per house or how much per lot does this equal? That to me gives me more information I can deal with. How much per house are you guys paying for, or per lot, or total, or to divide them up either way? If it's infrastructure, or how much per unit for housing you guys paying?
Right. The Act 279 funds are all going towards lot development, whatever.
So these
I
are
had
only
mentioned.
lot development when you said so many
Yes.
lots?
Yes.
Okay, how much per lot then are you paying then when you took the multiple $1 million figure? And I see you got the lot here, but I haven't done the math, nor do I do it in public. Well, how much per lot are you paying is the question. Whether it's Mark Development or the other ones.
That is information that we'll have to, I did not do a lot by lot or project by project calculation for the lot cost.
That would be helpful to know, actually. Or Kali, you know.
So there's also the acquisition cost as well as the development cost, and we can provide that breakdown.
Acquisition of what?
Acquisition of land, because some
I
of
thought it was
these
your,
involve land
oh, this is not your land.
Yeah, like the
Oh.
Puunani project, what we did was we acquired unentitled land at a fairly reasonable price, and we used some of the affordable housing credits that we had in play to offset the purchase price, along with some CIP money. We also used some of our Act 279 money. So the 279 was what got it over the hump, where we could do the 161 units. The vertical construction or the house construction, typically that comes from the homesteader. You know, we have 247, we have 184A funds. We also have, 502, as well as direct loans. Just a variety of different loan products depending on what that particular individual wants to participate in. For example, we also have, and we've typically set aside several lots for those that want to participate in the Habitat program. That we use our NAHAZA funds and provide loans at 0% interest, where they want to contribute their sweat equity. So again, the vertical construction is different. Most of the money came or is being used under Act 275 for infrastructure. I would say ballpark, it's over 200,000 per lot. But it varies, like Leali, it's on the side of a mountain. The infrastructure cost obviously is higher versus Puunani, which is a lot flatter. So, each project will vary.
Why I mentioned that is the Finance Committee just toured Maui. Next week is, this week is Maui. Last week was the Big Island. And we had a briefing at HPM, which they said you guys had a very good meeting. But they have a modular home that's beautiful for 80 to 100,000. It was tremendous. And basically, it's already prefabbed, or I forget the name they use, so it meets the legal labor standards. And it's something I said, well, you guys working with DHHL? And he said, well, no, I had a good meeting with colleagues. But those kinds of things are almost Habitat for Humanity already built into it, because it's modular and it look really beautiful. And you can add on or subtract depending on what it looks like.
Yeah, there's different types of these prefabbed houses. There's also the SIMS approach, which is a structural insulated paneling the SIP project or approach. That actually eliminates or reduces significantly the work in the framing. So that actually works well with the Habitat individuals, because a lot of it's just tilt up. So depending on, and we're trying to look at a variety of approaches, not only in the vertical construction for the homes, but also for some of the smaller ADUs or the accessory dwelling units that are now allowed on our homestead projects too. So that's something that, we have about 18,500 single-family residential homesteads throughout the state, and they all qualify unless there's some kind of restriction for the regulations for some of these planned communities like the HHFTC. But still, you can put an extension, or you can partition the second floor from the first floor and provide a separate entrance. So there's a variety of approaches that we're using to get rental units as well as the actual homestead units.
But for those without infrastructure, it sounds like you're paying more for infrastructure than for the actual house.
Well, the
I mean, 200
ADUs.
and you said average 200,000 for the infrastructure.
No, those are brand new homesteads. The ADUs are taking advantage of existing infrastructure, existing homestead
Oh, I thought
houses.
you did the math and the.
That's for the
the
brand new infrastructure,
200,000.
new homesteads, right.
Which is about the same price as the house, at least from the.
Well, that's
HDB.
separate, the infrastructure
Yeah.
versus the vertical. That's two. The vertical construction is more like over 400,000, maybe 420,000. It's expensive, the vertical.
So the ADU is your cheapest bet then?
Well, but that's not for people off the wait list, that's for renters.
For renter, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But then they can build equity.
Well, the equity is really in the, there's a variety of equities involved. We use tax credits versus you paying a mortgage, you build up your equity over time. So with the sale of the tax credits, equity is almost automatic, which is really nice. That's why we're using that particular model. A certain percentage of all our big projects use the LIHTC, or low-income housing tax credit, rent-to-own approach. And those are for people that are 60% AMI and below.
Got it. Chair's gonna ask one more question.
Last question, Rep. Ward, for now. Go ahead.
Is it a question or you?
No, it's a question. It's not a statement. The last time I left very encouraged because you said of the $6 million, we've committed this amount of money for getting 2,500 off the wait list. Have you got an update on those call scores? Because they were very encouraging. Are there more people off the wait list and more committed, or what you've committed is from the last meeting the same as you're going to say this time? And could you remind us what that is of the 600 million?
Well, it's an ongoing process. I might also want to add that this list of projects you folks see, maybe 5 of them are new projects, but we're also having ongoing discussions with Commitment Schools, as well as the Knutson Foundation, as well as the Gross Farm on Kauai, as well as various other entities that are making available excellent areas for new homesteading. So we're excited, I'm personally very, very excited about that. As we all know, a lot of the existing inventory, and that's why our infrastructure cost is being eaten up, is because these lands are isolated with very poor infrastructure, and that's very costly. So that's why we're starting to identify sites where there's existing infrastructure that we can connect up to, thereby reducing our infrastructure costs. So we might make some adjustments here. We also may make some adjustments on some of the projects we have. For example, the Maili project, where we have $60 million set aside. That's kind of on the Leeward Coast. We have already 3 major homestead, actually 4 major, and when you add Kapolei, that's actually 8 existing homesteading communities out there on the Leeward Coast. So we're looking at other areas. We're even looking at Hawaii Kai, by the way.
Oh, that's right. KS has got a lot of options in.
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Eko mamai.
Thank you.
Maybe.
Maybe. No, but if we did go out there, we would put up units that are consistent with the area.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Rep. Ward. Members, any other questions?
I have another.
Chair, a quick question.
Yep, go ahead, Rep. Tarnas.
Thank you. You're making great progress. I appreciate the update. But I wanted to check on Leali'i 1B offsite water. In the notes, it says the Honokawai Water Draft EA pending resolution of SHPD issues and cultural impact analysis. And then in the next Leali'i 1B subdivision, it says FONSI approved by HHC on October 16th and final EA to be published. Is that the same EA you were speaking about there?
Rep. Tarnas, thank you for the question. So these are separate environmental assessments. The Honokawai water, which is also intended to provide water to both Leali'i and Honokawai, is still in progress. So we have some SHPD requirements to complete. I would say that unfortunately the Lahaina fire kind of affected the work of the archaeologists, as well as communicating with beneficiaries on the cultural impact analysis. So that we need to update because we have somewhat of an old analysis. So we're trying to update that and get it more current.
Okay, so that's still pending, so you can't really move forward yet on the water project just at this point, because you still need to finish that draft DA, SHPD issues, and the cultural impact analysis.
That is correct, sir. I also want to point out that our understanding is that you know, that Honokowai Aquifer is under water management area, and we understand that currently the aquifer is being overpumped, and Seaworm is continuing to do investigation on actual pumpage. So we have that issue to also resolve.
Okay, so you don't actually have clearance from Seaworm to move forward with any set amount of pumping that you can take out of that well?
That is correct.
Okay, so you still have some ways to go on that one. Well, final question, if I may, Chair, or it's actually just a point. As you move forward with this water development, let's hope you can do that, and you're building a water tank, you're building a well, I would encourage you to make sure that you put a fire hydrant right outside the tank so that you can fill a dip tank, and you set it up so that you can actually put in a dip tank for firefighting purposes right there in next to the well by the tank. I'm trying to encourage all of any new water development to include the necessary infrastructure right there so that you can we can actually put a dip tank, fire department can put a dip tank right next to your reservoir, your tank, or whatever you've got there, and so that the firefighting helicopters can dip in and get water there and service the area. It's much more efficient than having to bring in tankers and move things around. So it's just something to consider, that in your design, make sure that you check in with the fire department, see what you can do to make sure that you can put in a dip tank so it's close and you add to the infrastructure for firefighting. So it's just a recommendation I'm trying to provide to you and to any other developers that are putting in water. Thank you very much. You're doing a great job, Stuart. Keep it up. And Kali Watson, thank you. And back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Rep. Tarnas. I guess since we're on that topic of Leali'i, does that water issue concern you if there's overpumping in terms of, do we have plan B, or is we gotta hope that just gets resolved on its own?
It is of high concern that we resolve that issue, because we do have major plans for Honokowai area. We have a master plan consisting of, I don't know the exact number of units, but it includes both agricultural, residential uses, as well as community and potentially commercial uses. And so without this new well, it's going to really hamper our progress. On a brighter note, we have an agreement, existing agreement with the County of Maui for 200,000 gallons per day of from the existing capacity. And so that will be utilized for the first phase of Leali'i, as well as the second phase. We should have enough allocation in there. And then we're also looking at providing potable water to our Honokowai subsistence ag lots that we are currently developing, and it is also shown in the Maui section, Honokowai subsistence ag phase 1, 50 units. So we have enough for what we currently have in motion, but certainly additional water. Yes.
Yeah. Well, at least R1 is still, you're working on the R1 aspects, right?
Correct. So we want to thank County of Maui for that, because we have an agreement. I believe it's close to being executed, where the county will provide us with R1 water for our Honokowai subsistence ag lots.
Right. Okay, so I guess when we take a look at the big numbers, right? So we encumbered in 23 the 192, right? So the 175, that's technically a 24 encumbrance, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we add the 192 plus the 175, so that gets us into the 300 range. What is your, do you know at this point what you think you're going to go in for your next round of release request? Or is that still pending, depending on what you guys are gonna do with your RFQs?
We do have RFQs planned for La'iopua Village 1 and 2. That is 67 million. We're continuing to work on our Naiva Ag subdivision in Molokai. That is 16 new subsistence ag lots, $6 million. And then the Leali'i 1B subdivision, this is another RFQ that is being proposed. We estimate $68 million. And I also wanted to, again, thank the legislature for providing $9 million in CIP appropriation for Honoapi Ilani highway improvements. So that will also be added. We expect to encumber that, or we hope to encumber that this fiscal year, because that also lapses if not encumbered. And we also appreciate the help from HHFDC to provide DERF funding, $10 million. As soon as we can resolve the aquifer issue, then we can start constructing that well.
Okay, so there's no shortage of projects, it's just a matter of timing then in the pipeline of when you can move it to the encumbrance phase.
Right, so if we are able to encumber everything in the projected encumbrance FY24, that'll bring it to 492, but that will also show that we're in excess of, I think we'll be in excess of the 600 million.
Yeah, and my understanding, this is without your latest RFP, right? And you picking any projects from that latest RFP?
That is correct. So that's still under review and has not yet gone to the commission for any kind of authorization.
Okay, but so I guess in other words, the pipeline is robust. Then I think that's the point that we're trying to find out. Okay, so it's just a timing issue then on when we can move all this. Great. Members, any other questions on the matrix before we go on to the legislation?
Sure, I have a question.
Just a sec. Majority Leader.
Oh, good.
Go ahead.
I have a question about the COWRM approval for Leali'i 1B offsite water. What is the process to get the COWRM approval, and what kind of timeline are you anticipating?
I'm not sure that I can answer that directly, but we are starting to have discussions with Commission on Water Resources Management. Kaleo Manuel was reinstated there, and so we need to get to them and look at our schedule and what impacts it would mean on the rest of the community who are currently pumping from that aquifer, because if we exert our influence that we legally have, that'll mean that others who are pumping from the aquifer will have to reduce their pumping. And so we're talking about a lot of Kanapali land management, hotels and businesses in that area, since we have priority rights to the aquifer. So the process, I can't say. We've not implemented that process, and so that could take a while. We're being offered to collaborate with Pulelehua north of DHHL land. Their well, or proposed well, is located in a different aquifer. And so that could be another solution for DHHL if we can come to terms on an agreement.
Can I ask
Go
a
ahead.
separate
Yep.
question?
Majority, go
Also,
ahead.
on the, your matrix, on the second page, the, the last, let's see, project financing partnerships, and you have $100 million projected encumbrance. Is that still projects in the works? Are they identified or potential?
Yeah, we have several CDFIs, or like Hawaii Community Lending, as well as Hawaiian Community Development Corporation out of Kauai, that we're working with, who have been successful in raising funds for various loan products that are somewhat dependent upon us providing some funds so that they can leverage the funds that they're getting, and more importantly, reduce the costs to our homesteaders and qualify more of them. Invariably, in the past, we've bypassed a whole ton of people on our waiting list because they couldn't qualify for these large mortgages. With the mortgages starting to creep upwards, along with interest rates, we really have to depend on these alternative funding sources to reduce the monthly costs to our beneficiaries so that they can get their homes. So we found that we use the Habitat, we use the LIHTC, rent-to-own, but we also are now starting to really rely on other sources, and that's where the active CDFIs in the community have really stepped up, and we are excited about working with them in leveraging their funds with our funds. And Act 279 does allow us to do that. So that's where the $100 million comes into play.
Thank you.
Yep, go ahead.
And then
One
the
more.
last question is relating, there's a lot of Maui projects, which is great to
Mhm.
see. I'm just wondering, how does it work? It would be people on the Maui wait list that would have access to these lots, or
Mhm.
through the lottery system? Is that kind of how it?
No,
It's not going to be wildfire victims.
No, we go by our waiting list. It's a specific waiting list. I think we have a little over 4,000 on our wait list. But we also have some undivided interest awardees that are kind of take precedence on the waiting list, that they are maybe looking at moving over to the Pu'unani. And so we actually recently allowed this one homesteader that was in Waiahuli and ran into a whole bunch of different problems. And so she requested to rescind her award, get back on the undivided awardee list, and thereby be qualified to participate in the Pu'unani project, which that's more a turnkey rather than the Waiahuli, where it was more the owner-builder approach, which is very, very difficult, especially for individuals that have never done that before. So the 161 units that Everett Dowling's development company is putting out are very, very nice, very reasonably priced in a good location. So, yeah, we're kind of, and even that one though, we are using the different approaches that I mentioned earlier with the Habitat, the owner-builder. We are setting, or Everett is setting aside per our requirements, a certain number of owner-builder lots, along with the turnkey, as well as subsidized ones. So, as well as the LIHTC rent-to-own. He brought on a developer that's familiar with that process. So he's going to make maybe 60 of those available. So, we're running the whole gamut of different people on the wait list, so we don't bypass anybody.
And then are you giving priority to Maui, or giving extra focus on these projects on Maui?
Well, we have, we have about 4 projects. We're actually looking at another project that is kind of exciting. The area is already graded. It's a good location. So we're in negotiations on that one. That one would generate about close to 300 units. So collectively, we have over 1,000 units that we're going to be building on Maui. Not to mention the ADUs, which is separate, but it's also an area that our existing homesteaders can take advantage of.
And the financing for the ADUs is through the 100 million here?
No,
Or is that
none of
separate?
that is for,
Okay.
out of the Act 279.
Okay, so they
Those
would
are
need to
rentals.
get their own.
Well, we have Nahasa funds. We recently got 22.3 million for the last 2 years. This third year, we'll probably get another 22.3 million. So that's 66 million that are that we can use for these ADUs. We were kind of running it through HUD to make sure that we can, but it looks like we can because they are for rentals, which is basically one of the things that the Nahasa funds are for.
Right.
But we're also using those to leverage, and we're also getting into the transitional housing, where those that don't fit any of those approaches, that need a little bit of assistance regarding counseling, as well as maybe getting a job and what have you, we're building transitional multi-unit rentals. That's
On
a different
Maui.
project. Maui, we haven't identified any site for that. We are talking with the county and about possibly doing some emergency housing. That one is a little touchy because it's, we were kind of focusing on Native Hawaiians, which there are a lot of Native Hawaiians that have been adversely impacted by the wildfires. So the numbers, I think, are sufficient to justify this emergency type modular housing that we're looking at.
Final question, sorry, I won't ask any more after this. But have you surveyed your DHHL owned homeowners homesteaders on Maui to find out if they would be interested in doing an ADU?
We haven't surveyed. That's something that is kind of new. We've only done a few of these ADUs, unfortunately. I personally think it's a great opportunity. It's cost effective. It's, you already have existing infrastructure. There's a tremendous need for that. They're going to address the homeless situation. Our Nahasas can even provide some rental subsidies too. And then we'd like to work with the different organizations out there that can also not only provide in the construction. We're working with Native Hawaiian contractors, but more importantly, the services, like work with the Catholic charities and some of these others out there.
Seems like that's a great opportunity, so I would hope that there would be some follow-up to see how many might take advantage of a program like that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Yep. No, thank you, Majority Leader. Rep Poi Poi, I know you've had your hand up. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. I just had a quick question about the Leali'i 1B offsite water in Honokowai. I was just curious if the department has a groundwater reservation for that aquifer sector?
We don't currently have a reservation. We're in the process of doing that when we found out about the overpumping.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Right. All right. So, I think at least the pipeline is robust. I think that is very good. Rep Ward, real quick.
Yes.
If you want to move on, so real quick.
In that regard, so when we say that, as the watchdog committee is saying, well, how are they doing spending the $600 million? It looks like you've gone over to $684 million. So we say everything's well with the encumbrance. Can we say that?
Well, if you look at the next
It's
column, we're
684.
about 200 million
Yeah,
over.
200, the point is, you guys have been very robust in your spending. I mean, not robust, but, we are meeting what evidently, in fact, this is the hooker. When does the money expire if this stuff?
Well, right now, June 30th, 2024, but we're submitting just to be safe.
The encumbrance?
The encumbrance to June 30th,
What's that?
2025, which was original intent, I believe, under Act 279. So yeah, we're robust, but we're also short. We have 29,000 people on a waiting list. So clearly, what we're getting, while we're very appreciative, is not enough. So we're going to be asking for more. money because we need it. We need it. We got a lot of people. I anticipate our waiting list is going to grow. There's a lot of Hawaiians out there that need housing.
Well, that's why I was encouraging when the governor says we're going to build 50,000 houses in 5 years, which is, I guess, a challenge. But following up with the majority leader's question, so there's no homestead damage or hardship that you guys need to rescue on Maui, West Maui, Lahaina, et cetera?
Well, there was some roof damage. There was also 2 of the 104 units that burned down. So those have been meeting. We're looking at maybe using some of the models that we're using in Pu'unani. We've had meetings with the homesteaders. That's kind of moving along. We put a office trailer out there to provide services, working with CNHA and others. The Everett Darling has been very, very helpful in not only doing a matrix of the 102 other units and their specific needs. So we're looking at maybe replacing the roofs as well as putting PV on them. So there's a variety of things we're doing regarding the existing homesteads. We were very, very fortunate. In fact, Everett was the guy that built the units, I think, something like 12 years ago. And because of the material he used, as well as the fact that there were garages rather than carports, they survived.
But only 2 burned down, you said?
Only 2.
2. And they're living in hotels or in the...
No, they're still living there. I think we relocated the other 2 that...
Okay, the relocation.
Right.
They're well taken care of anyway.
Yeah, we're servicing their needs, as well as finding out, we're working with them, making sure their insurance claims, as well as FEMA, whatever shortage can be made up through other sources.
Okay,
Great.
thank you, Chair.
All right, so members, just to make clear, I think the first priority of this committee is making sure that the $600 million doesn't lapse, and which I think that looks like won't happen. So we have until the end of this fiscal year to do that, and then of course the next phase is monitoring how the agency then gets to spend those encumbrances, right? Because I think that's when push comes to shove. That's when things are actually happening. So, I think that it's a lot of working with the department and seeing what else they need. Because I think you're right, Chair. There's so much need out there that we're gonna have to keep working at it. And this is hopefully the first of many investments. It's gonna get a little trickier, I think because we don't have the cash that we used to in these good years. We're going to have to, see how we can use other funds and, more bonds. But I think if the results are happening, I think it's much easier for the legislature to invest, right? And so I think hopefully this will show that the department can get things off the ground, and this is a down payment on future projects, as if we can show that it'll happen. So thank you, Chair, and maybe we can go into the legislation.
Sure. I'd like to turn it over to Ori. There's a bunch of legislation related to us moving forward on this development project. So, Ori.
Aloha mai kākou, and mahalo for the opportunity to share our legislative proposal package. There were 12 total ledge proposals that were approved by our commission last month in September, and 10 of which support the efforts and initiatives of Act 279. They are, as you all know, currently under review by the Attorney General's Office, Budget and Finance, as well as Governor's Gov Policy Team, and the final drafts are due by November 13th. The commission-approved drafts can be viewed on our website at dghl.hawaii.gov/government-relations. So with your indulgence, we'll go through the 10 bills that connect with Act 279. Helue kahi, number 1, relating to independent legal counsel. This proposal allows the Hawaiian Homes Commission, the commission, not the department, to retain independent legal counsel to be paid by the state and use the services of the Attorney General as needed when the interests of the state and the Hawaiian Homes Commission are aligned. Independent legal counsel is in line with our trust responsibilities, and it also supports development purposes. It will allow for efficiency in process and timeline for expected outcomes in a timely manner, and it is also helpful for our commission to make informed decisions regarding land acquisition and other initiatives or issues.
But that's nothing new, is it? That's been around for a while.
It is also helpful for our commission to make informed decisions regarding land acquisition and other initiatives or issues. But that's nothing new, is it? That's been around for a while. That's nothing new, is it? That's been around for a while. It's not the first time we've requested,
okay. I
yes,
thought-
but we
thank
hope
you.
it'll be the last time. Heluelua, number 2, relating to the Commission on Water Resource Management. This proposal adds the chair or the chair's designee to the Commission on Water Resource Management. Representation on seaworm can help to secure water credits and ensure water allocations for Hawaiian homelands and its beneficiaries, as Stuart had articulated with a couple of examples. It will also allow for informed and efficient collaboration with seaworm. As an obvious stakeholder, we have an upcoming meeting with them on October 31st. Eluekolu, relating to housing. This proposal exempts any development of homestead lots or housing for the Department of Hawaiian Homelands from general excise and use taxes. The savings resulting from the exemption from general excise and use taxes that DHHL can potentially accrue from this bill would be applied to the development of additional housing and associated infrastructure. So our estimates, if this bill were approved and were applied to the $600 million that was allocated through Act 279, would come out to about $24 million. And that's $24 million that we could use towards maintaining the homestead projects that we are developing and plan to develop, as well as other needs. Helueha, relating to historic preservation reviews. This proposal allows DHHL to assume review of the effect of any proposed project on historic properties or boreal sites for lands under its jurisdiction. This will allow for efficiency in process and timeline, again, to meet the expected outcomes in a timely manner through the ability to expedite the construction of proposed projects. And as noted on the slide, the current estimated maximum total timeline as of today is 165 days. Helueono, relating to school impact fees. This proposal repeals the July 1st, 2024 sunset of Act 197, Session Laws of Hawaii 2021, to make permanent the exclusion of housing developed by DHHL from school impact fees. Exempting housing developed by DHHL from school impact fees, similar to the other proposal, will allow for more homes to be developed for beneficiaries. Also, DHHL currently leases educational facilities for public schools, public charter schools, early learning facilities, and other similar facilities at minimal to no cost. Heluehiku. This proposal allows for the expenditure of funds appropriated in Act 279, Session Laws of Hawaii 2022, until June 30th, 2025. As you all discussed, we expect to encumber and expend all of the funds before the end of June 2024. However, the Commission decided to include this proposal in our package as extra insurance. Helu Eiva, relating to the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation. This proposal would add the chair or the chair's designee to HHFDC, and it'll help us to ensure efficient communication and collaboration with HHFDC for shared interests and possible solutions for common issues. Helu Umi. This proposal would add the chair or the chair's designee to HCDA. Again, this representation would allow for opportunities for education and collaboration, as well as efficient development of community infrastructure and underutilized urban areas of Hawaii. We had a meeting with them last week, and we have another meeting with them this week. Number 11, Umikumakahi, relating to the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act. This proposal increases the loan limit for DHHL direct loans to be 75% of the maximum single residence loan amount allowed in Hawaii by the Federal Housing Administration instead of 50% as currently outlined in Section 215 of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act. With the higher costs to construct or purchase a home, increasing the loan limit from 50% to 75% of the maximum single residence loan amount allowed in Hawaii by the FHA will allow beneficiaries to purchase or make improvements to their home. And lastly, we have Umikumalua. This proposal increases the allowable loan term for DHHL direct loans made available to be 40 years instead of 30 years, as currently outlined in Section 215 of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act. This will allow for lower monthly payment amounts for the beneficiaries, and it will also allow for the loan term to be closer to the loan term of the United States Department of Agriculture Section 502 Direct Loan Program, which is 38 years. Again, all of these proposals are on our website, and we are open to any questions.
Great. Members, do you have any questions? Rep. Holt.
Thank you. As Rep. Ward had noted, a few of these proposals have been floated before, some not gone very far, some have kind of gone a little bit further. I guess it's not really much of a question. I would hope, that we're back here at the same place with the same proposals. Shows how important that these things are. Just for the members, if you guys recall, some of the reasons that these proposals were being shut down were saying that the Hawaiians would have too much influence on these boards, saying that giving them their own lawyers would be too much advantage to the department, which really puzzles me. We are supposed to be helping our Hawaiian community, and these are the things that will help us move forward. So hopefully we can move some of these measures forward. I did want to note, number 7, hopefully which is not needed because we have gone, beyond, we're spending more money than we already have. So maybe we can replace it with a funding bill to, I know cash, we're going to be strapped with cash, but I think you guys can do GO bond funding going forward, right? And, just to highlight how efficient you guys are spending the money, the governor came out with a housing plan a few months ago to spend $6.5 billion for 10,000 units. And I think with the $600 million that we've given you, you're between 3,000 and 4,000. So by that math, with $6 billion, you guys would build 30,000 units. So, just to put perspective on what we're doing, this is money very well spent, and I thank you guys for all the work that you're doing. Sorry, no question.
Mahalo.
Thank you, Rep. Holt.
Thank you.
Members, any other questions?
Chair,
Rep. Ward.
I adopt the words of the previous speaker as if they were my own. But my
Right.
question is, what do the Native American tribes have in terms of loan repayment period? I like this 40 years. That'll really reduce what, maybe 10, 20, 30% of the monthly mortgage? Do you guys know the numbers? And are other people getting 40? Yeah, I noticed you mentioned 38 Department of, or 20, sorry, 38 Department of Ag. But is there a 40-year, or this would break through the ceiling of former mortgage terms? Question mark.
As we noted, we noticed that the USDA loan term was for 38 years and ours was 30, so we thought we'd give it an even number, but still make it comparable.
So
And
has
that's why
nobody
we
got
landed
40?
on 40.
So far, nobody's got 40. Or do American Indian tribes get 40 years and we're just kind of catching up with them? Or we don't know that?
We don't have that information at this time.
Because it seems very reasonable. And do you know the exact amount that'll reduce the monthly, Kali?
Depends on the amount, the interest rate.
But it looks like it would be significant.
Yeah.
Kind of like
It make a
making,
difference, sure.
like giving a down payment and making it go. Sure, I had one other question, which, you said the commission approved 12 bills. I only counted 10 here, actually. Did you chuck out a couple or what? There's only 10 of these proposals. You said there were 12.
10 of the 12 are connected to Act 279. The other two, the other one is dealing with compliance on Hawaiian homelands, and this would allow the department to have a compliance and enforcement team to be paid by the state, and that works in collaboration with law enforcement. The other bill is a request for $6 million for geothermal research.
Okay, not directly related necessarily to this. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Chair, is there any particular ones that
Marnus
you?
had his hand
Oh,
up also.
Rep. Tarnas, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I appreciate that. I wanted to check, when we spoke about this before, I said it'd be a lot easier for us to get the necessary votes to move out the bill if we had HHFDC and HCDA and CWORM saying, yes, we would welcome. having having the chair on our boards. Could you explicitly explain where you are in the negotiations and your meetings with those three entities, just so we can have an update?
Yeah, it's ongoing. You know, there's been a little bit of pushback. You know, I'm still pushing back the other way. You know, there's hopefully there's maybe a compromise rather than being a voting member, just an advisory type member. I'm okay with that as long as I get some input in the deliberation. I think I'll be fine with that. The numbers, it kind of throws it off when you add one more. So they want to have at least a way where you're not gridlocked. So that's a concern. Taking somebody off, you know, maybe the Department of Health, that might be appropriate versus having us on there seems to make more sense to me personally. But again, it's something that we're still kind of grappling with and trying to look for a way to get our input on these different boards. Very, very important. That's why we're coming back.
I agree that it's very important that the Department of Hawaiian Homelands has significant input into these boards, but it really is an administration's decision about how to make that work. And there has been this issue of the numbers of members and making sure that it works for a voting situation. So I appreciate that you are negotiating hard and trying to figure out a way to make it work, because that will help us in the legislature be able to get the necessary votes to move these bills out. So thank you for doing that work in advance of the session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Back to you.
Thank you, Rep. Tarnas. So I guess, Chair, are these in any particular order, or is this your ranking of priority, or?
I blame Ori for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're not numbered in any particular order.
Okay. Any particular ones that you're pushing hard
All
on
of
this?
them, all of them.
Okay, all of them. Okay. Members, any other questions?
Chair, I have a question
Yep,
about
go
one
ahead.
of the bills that wasn't among the 10. Is it okay if I
Go
ask
ahead.
about the police power one?
Yep, go ahead, Rep. Tarnas.
Great, thanks. I know that you had an agreement with Hawaii County, memorandum of agreement with them. Have you been able to pursue any memorandum of agreement with any other county police departments that is similar?
Yeah, we're in the process of meeting with all, and we've had several meetings. In fact, I think either today or later tomorrow, I'm meeting with the mayor. We're looking at specific situations where that working relationship is very critical. We do have situations, especially with drug houses and gambling dens and various other things that are kind of plaguing our homestead communities, that we need to get a lot more active. And it's very dependent, working with the counties, the police department, prosecutor's office, as well as the feds. It's something that it's a problem that we need to address. So this one bill that has been submitted is our attempt to a certain extent, get involved in that process and have the resources that we can specifically focus in on these criminal activities. But the reality is it's very involved. I mean, you can maybe arrest somebody, but then where do you book them? So for the department, sort of like DHERD, I think they have 40 or 50 in enforcement. Right now we only have 2 people in enforcement. We're increasing that. We're also adding 1 per island, the major islands. So we're trying to get more active, but the MOAs that you're talking about are very, very important. So we just brought on a new person that has some experience in that. So he's going to be focusing in on, as well as has been meeting with the different enforcement entities to move that along.
I appreciate you doing that, because if there's any delay, or let's say the county police department chooses not to respond to calls on Hawaiian homelands, it's really unconscionable, because that is their responsibility. And so I appreciate that you're really pushing that, because that would be the most efficient thing, is to have the existing police departments do their job. and then the prosecuting attorneys follow through with that, because we have to address these issues, as you say, of the drug houses or gambling dens. And they really need to follow through on their responsibility. So I appreciate you pushing that. Thanks
Well-
very much, Chair. Back to you.
Part of it is education. There's actually a Hawaii Supreme Court case that specifically states that the police have that enforcement powers on DHHL lands. So we've been making that available to the different counties as well as the homestead associations. They can call the police department, resting assured that there is statutory authority as well as case law that allows the police to respond in a timely fashion with arresting as well as enforcement authority that they have. Just because it's Hawaiian homeland doesn't mean that that goes away. It is something
That's right.
that is
Yes.
out there and is recognized
right.
by the courts.
Good. Well, that's very important, so that it's clear to everybody that this is also part of the kuleana of the county police department, that they follow through on calls that are made from Hawaiian homes. So thank you for making that clear for everybody. Back to you, Chair Hashimoto.
All right, thank you, Rep. Tarnas. All right, members, I think that we got some great information. I think that we can incorporate a lot of this into our report, and then I think what the plan is over the next November, December, hopefully we can get a better handle on the numbers, and so once we submit the report, at least the legislature will know what the numbers are looking like going into session, and obviously we know that's going to change because you're going to continue making progress as we're working. And then, of course, hopefully by maybe next meeting, you can give us an update what made the governor's package and what didn't, and then we can see what we can do from there. So we will include that in the report as well. But I guess with no further business, we will see everyone next month. Thank you very much.
Thank you.